Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Thursday, July 27th, 2023. I hope this Thursday finds you safe and healthy, and that finds your family safe and healthy, that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health, are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders who every day out here are trying to save human lives. And those that pick up garbage to keep streets and sidewalks clean and disease-free, along with those that make deliveries, the humble worker making deliveries for our convenience of mail and food and water, important things to keep us alive. Double blessings on the men and women that are out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover the teenagers and children that are victims of child molestation and pedophilia. The victims also of pornography and child pornography, prostitution and child prostitution, human trafficking and sex slavery. Double curses on all the perpetrators of these things. Double curses on all the profiteers of these things. And double curses on the perverts that create this industry. Finally, double blessings on the homeless. Nearly 600,000 men, women, and children homeless in the United States of America, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. So, Obi and Fournier, Obi Toppin. This gives us, these two situations, give us a glimpse into the mind and operations of Leon Rose. Now, there's an unfortunate situation in Knicks Nation. Sometimes I liken Knicks Nation to an unfortunate woman who had been battered and beaten by most males in her life. So when she finally finds one that's worthy, she can't appreciate them because all of the past ones are affecting and infecting her mind and spirit. That's what's afflicting many in Knicks Nation. They're looking at the past regimes and they're lumping them together with this regime. Looking at the past regimes and complaining about how long they had to wait for a championship. Looking at past regimes and highlighting mistakes as if it was from this regime. So that when you start to talk about your own team, your own management, you start off from a negative point of view because you've been poisoned from the past, unfortunately. Then, of course, there's the crew that is younger, doesn't understand what it takes to make a long-term sustainable winner, and are continually looking to make deals that are not necessary. That is from the past as well. They don't realize they're repeating mistakes from the past when they make these type of suggestions. No, but this regime is different. And so I look at it from a positive. I start off with the positive, understanding that, first of all, I take for granted this regime is intelligent. They've shown me this over the 3 years they've been in charge. They've shown me enough that I named Leon Rose the Don, as if Corleone, as if I'm in charge. I'm in charge from my office desk. And he's got a crew. And so they've shown me enough for me to believe that they are intelligent and know what they're doing. They've shown me enough to believe that they're attempting to build a long-term sustainable winner. They're making the moves. Now, do they make mistakes? Absolutely. We're going to talk about one of the mistakes today, Obi and Fournier. The other, Kemba Walker. Obi Toppin was not a mistake. Obi Toppin was drafted the 8th overall pick with the intention of him being a cornerstone to build around from the power forward position. Well, Julius Randle had other thoughts. Julius would have seen the writing on the walls. For that year that Obi Toppin was drafted, that May, there were articles with Ian Begley, who was one of the 3 wise men who I trust when he comes with news, generally is correct. It's true. It's no hyperbole. It's not for clicks. Generally, when Ian Begley comes with something, it's correct. It's the deal. It's how he sees it. It's what he knows. He's trying to be real. So Ian Begley, that year, the year Leon was hired, 2020, and the year that Obi was drafted, before he was drafted, that year the draft was in the fall. In May or April of that year, Ian Begley wrote that the Knicks were in the market for a power forward. Very interesting, being that they had just played a year with Julius Randle. Julius Randle saw that. I'm sure he did. And that summer, that actually, see, sometimes situations arise that cause a player to get the most out of himself. Just so happened, not only did Julius Randle see that, Tom Thibodeau arrives, a guy that naturally favors veterans. And so he and Julius got together and went into the lab. And out came all-star, all-NBA Julius Randle. Just in time for Obi Toppin, unfortunately. But Obi wasn't a mistake. Obi became a very talented insurance policy. See? Which if you're Leon Rose, that's what you want. So you got a very talented insurance policy that you know if he's good as you think he is, he's a starter in the NBA. And so if Randle falters, you have it. If Randle continues, if he's more than just a guy that outperformed for his contract year, you got him. You got Obi Toppin. But Julius now has been all NBA and all-star 2 of the 3 seasons under Tom Thibodeau. One of the top 15 players by that metric in the NBA. So you have now this starter level talent on your bench that you drafted with your initial intention of making him your cornerstone or one of them. And now he's aching to play. He's 25. Getting ready to get into his own prime. And he's worthy. He's worked very hard. He's been a good soldier for you. And so now you do him a favor. Because now it's time for him to actually get paid. We're talking real money now. I mean, in the NBA, when you get drafted in the lotto, you're going to get paid. For the average person like me, I'll take Obi's 4-year salary, go on with life and never think back, right? And be ready for generations. But in the NBA, that's just the beginning. And now you're looking at some serious money, after your first 4 years. And this is where Obi finds himself going into his 4th season. So the Don, being who he is, does Obi a favor and sends him to a team that he wanted to play for, a team that wanted him, to give him a starter's opportunity, the Indiana Pacers. He wasn't looking for much from him, though he would squeeze out 2 second-round picks. It was really for Obi. He was doing us a favor because he drafted Obi for one intention, and as it turned out, that spurred Julius Randle to become Julius Randle. So he did Obi a favor and moved him. Evan Fournier is a different situation. How so? From an intelligence standpoint, he signed Evan Fournier for what was, at the time, a 4-year, $72 million contract for the intent purposes of him being an NBA-level starting 2 guard to bring shooting to the Knicks, which they were lacking. He did not really consult Tom Thibodeau in this, because if he would have, he wouldn't have made the signing. Part of the learning process. See, everybody has to go through a learning process when you're rebuilding a team from the scrap heap, from laughing stock into a perennial, long-term, sustainable winner. This is one of the growing pains. So Leon thought he was doing the Knicks a favor by getting Evan Fournier at a standard contract for a starting 2 guard. The problem was, as I mentioned, he was not Tom Thibodeau style. That same year, they drafted this rookie that has Tom Thibodeau written all over him out of the University of Houston, named Quentin Grimes. That's a Tom Thibodeau player. But they had just signed Evan Fournier for $72 million. So what are they going to do? Well, they play him. They play Evan Fournier. They started him. This is a situation where I have been in this situation before. I don't know if you have, but let me explain. So I started off in my career. I changed careers. I was in finance. I have a degree in finance. And then I went in my finance career. I was self-employed. My business failed. I had a financial business. It failed. I'm not ashamed of that. You need failure to understand victory. So I changed careers, went back to school, got another degree in applied mathematics, and a 3rd degree, a master's degree in information systems. And I thought, somebody's going to pay me for this knowledge. And yes, they did. And they started off paying me a little bit compared to what I should have been getting. But then, as time went on, I got a big jump in salary. Now, what I didn't understand, which Evan Fournier apparently doesn't understand, is employers do not give you a big jump in salary because they like you. They do not give you a big jump in salary because you're handsome or because, you just got charisma. No, they do that because they're expecting a high level of performance. A high level of performance. They don't pay you for nothing. If you don't deliver that performance, they will let you go. Now, in the NBA, salaries are guaranteed. Okay? Salaries are guaranteed. So when you sign the contract, you're going to get the money, whether you hurt, whether you play, whatever you do, you're going to get the money. So it's a bigger risk to the employer. But still, when they sign you to $72 million, they're expecting performance. Evan Fournier broke the Knicks record for three-pointers in a season. So you would say, well, he performed. Not for Tom Thibodeau. For Tom Thibodeau, we need to see you on both ends. And as I mentioned, I shared with you the stats of Evan Fournier. I shared with you his stats, and I showed you what he did with the Knicks. And as I showed you, he was mostly negative. His best games did not result in wins for the Knicks. His best games were good looking for him, but not good for the Knicks. I showed y'all that. When he shot over 40%, when he shot over 20 points, I showed you all of these things. And in all these areas, Fournier came up short, especially on the defensive end. He just, didn't play no defense. Okay? Very little. But he could shoot most of the time. Had 40-point games and everything. But the Knicks would lose. That year, they were 37-45. I'm not putting it all on Fournier's shoulders. But he didn't help. So now, we're paying you $72 million, sir. We're expecting some performance on both ends of the floor. It is apparent that you can't deliver that performance. So now we have to still pay you at least $54 million of it. But we don't need you in our lineup. But we can use the $19 million that you have to open up salary space next season. So you're getting your $54 million guarantee. You won't get the 72, but you're not worthy. And we're going to bring that Tom Thibodeau rook, and we're going to let him take over. We're going to start the Quentin Grimes era. This happened in it would have been year 2 of the rebuild, which is Grimes' first year. Now, last year in year 3, he's the starter. And he's going to remain the starter, as he should. This is interesting. There's two camps I'm seeing in Knicks Nation. There's those that are always complaining that the Knicks don't develop their youth. And then there are those that are complaining at the same time saying Grimes should come off the bench. Can't have it both ways. Okay? So, Grimes is a starter. He's going to be a fixture at the starter. I don't care who. I don't want PG-13 or no $300 million Jaylen Brown or whatever. I'm happy with my boy Grimes. And let's keep him there. But back to Evan Fournier. So he did not perform. So his best and highest use at this time is as a salary. He can't help us as a player because we got Grimes. And behind Grimes, we now have both Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, and of course, Emmanuel Quickley. So there's no minutes for a non-defensive playing guy who's getting $19 million this year. No, his best and highest use is to sit there on the bench and let us use that salary. He might have been able to get dealt if he didn't open his big mouth and talk negative about the Knicks. Because now you're getting $54 million, you're getting your $19 million, and we now don't feel no ways urgent to move you anywhere. And we can just let you stay home, watch us on TV, and get your $19 million. That is a different scenario from Obi Toppin, who was drafted to be a cornerstone, who was a good soldier. See, the negative stuff you heard about Obi last month was stuff somebody recorded, well, him talking directly to Tom Thibodeau, which a man should do. But whining on your French news media, nah, that ain't gonna cut it. Especially when you're getting $54 million. Obi would love to get $54 million, but he's not. He's trying to earn his. So the Don did Obi a solid. But Fournier, he could sit on the bench and rot and collect his $19 million. That's the difference. We have a very intelligent front office. When they make mistakes, they correct them. And now, going into year 4, what's making me feel good is that each year that gone by, the Thibodeau and Leon Rose connection gets more solid. They understand each other. Thibodeau knows what he needs. Rose knows what Thibodeau likes. And they decide together what they're going to do. And it's really good. So now Tibbs going into the 4th year, as I told you, of his 5-year deal. And I told you, unless Tibbs has health problems, God forbid, but he's going to finish his 5-year contract. There's no doubt. Okay? He's going to finish his 5-year contract. Now, whether they let Johnny Bryant take over from there, which they may, and Tibbs goes to the front office, which he may, I don't know. Whether they extend Tibbs, which they might. If they did extend Tibbs, I wouldn't mind it. But I'm telling you, Johnny Bryant might. Because Johnny Bryant is here because he's the heir apparent. I know some of y'all are hoping for Mark Jackson. Forget it. If Tibbs continues on the trajectory he's put the Knicks on for the first 3 seasons and continues winning, don't let them make the Eastern Conference Finals this year, because forget it, he's going to be here. And so now, he's going in 70 years old, pushing towards 70. Then you're going to have a Johnny Bryant there. That's why Johnny Bryant's here, to be the heir apparent. He's not here because he just likes New York. He's not here because he likes Thibodeau. He's here because there's an opportunity for him to be a head coach in one of the most storied franchises in the NBA. The New York Knicks. So that's why he's here. And he's getting connected with the players like Julius Randle. So it's all kind of working out pretty well for me from where I sit. And I like it. I like the whole thing. I like the way the management operating. Like I said, I like the intelligence they're using. I like the way they're working together. I like how they're learning to meld together. There's some still, you're going to have people in the front office, like Worldwide West may not agree with Leon. Okay. Your Rokas guy may not, Rosas, whatever his name is, he may not agree with some other people. Okay. But the Don is the Don because he makes the final decision. And if he needs to make that decision involving big money, he's got the okay from the owner. So we good. Okay. So there's a difference. I don't want anybody to think, well, he treated Obi one way and treated Evan Fournier another way. No, these are 2 different situations. And they both handled with high level of Don-like intelligence. Y'all enjoy your Thursday. Sure.